We keep talking about e-commerce, and yeah, e-commerce is important, but even before that step, there's so many things before the purchase that they're just leaving their customers out to dry. And it's almost like if you only knew how many customers were trying to shop at your store.
Welcome to the episode 2 of Conquer Local Roundtable. It's been a month since our last roundtable. We did have quite a good response on the first one, so we're going to keep going with this, where we sit down with our executive however often we want to, and talk about some pretty good thought leadership topics about local marketing and pick each other's brains. So today, yes, all about e-commerce. Huge focus for Vendasta recently because we've changed our whole platform, our whole story to be about helping local experts enable e-commerce for their business clients. I want to start with a story, actually, that Jeff Tomlin and I were talking about earlier this week. He was telling me how a million years ago, he used to sell resume templates online. And he was so excited every time a new order showed up, because you get this email and it's this immediate like dopamine rush, right? And I wanted to start with a question for everybody on when was the first time e-commerce made you super, super excited? Like, what was that first thing you sold? What did it feel like? Take us back to the first time you sold something online.
1998, when Google
1998.
Yep.
What was it?
When Google was first relevant, and I was working for Head Sports, and I had all these samples from working for Head Sports: tennis rackets, skis, scuba equipment, tennis shoes. I had everything, and I rigged up some kind of site and sold all my samples and put it in my pocket and go spend. I think I spent it on beer. I don't remember, but that's what it was. Selling all my old samples way back then.
I would say mine's a little different. I was on the sales side of things and running advertising campaigns for a company called City Search, and City Search was like the first local city guide. And I can remember vividly, there's a great steakhouse here in Chicago that was a customer of mine, that it's like one of the biggest places ever. And we had debated that no one would ever look online to find a steakhouse restaurant. Like, that's how old I am, right? Like, that they didn't believe that people did. And so we didn't really sell things, but it was e-commerce because they actually were found online, and then somebody booked a reservation via phone. And I was in the place when it happened, and the owner's face just like completely fell. Like, he had no idea that anybody would ever look on the internet to find a restaurant. And then we ended up just blowing the doors off of the place. Like, they couldn't believe how many reservations they made. It was, in the hundreds of reservations in the first week from people looking at a city guide and City Search. And this is probably, the really early 2000s. So, it was just off the charts exciting.
Selling steak online.
Yeah.
Jeff Tomlin, you decided to join. We're not going to mute you this week, we were saying. So you're in a safe space.
You told the staff, hey,
Oh, definitely don't tell him that, Jeff.
Who hit my mute button?
That's awful.
It don't hurt my feelings.
We're actually talking about one of your stories right now. I stole your story about how you used to sell resume templates online and how excited that made you when a new order showed up. Can you just tell that for a second? So we were talking about that earlier.
Yeah, it was back in '97. Me and some of my buddies figured out that we could make some money with this internet thing. And the first idea that came to mind, my one buddy was working in HR at Saskatoon District Health. And so he was sifting through resumes every day, and he couldn't believe how bad they were. And so we decided to build resume and cover letter templates in Microsoft Word, and we built them using drop-down boxes and form fields, so it'd be really easy to write them. We built a whole bunch of them, zipped them up. We built our very first website on Microsoft Publisher. It looked like an absolute pile of dog crap, but it was really exciting. And the two of us took it as far as we could, and then we needed our third buddy, which is Jason Collins, who actually had some programming background. Well, he was a software developer, and he was the one that figured out how we could actually build a pay form and get the downloads automatically going. And so people would come, they would buy the product was a zip file full of Microsoft Word documents. And the thing I remember about it is once we got going and cranking, it was search engine optimization was so awesome back then because you could just spam the index. You make a few tweaks and show up for all items 1 through 25. Every single one was my site, landjob.com. And it was
What did you say it was called?
landthatjob.com.
Oh, I thought I heard something else.
Yeah, I know.
I was surprised you said that on a recorded video.
Resumes, Gib. Resumes.
Oh.
But it was so exciting watching the traffic go up and up. And then once we got the e-commerce figured out and people could buy it on their own, it was so exciting to watch the sales come in. We would be glued. My email would pop and we'd get another one and another one, another one. And it was so exciting. And
You should do that for our company, Jeff. It'd be awesome.
Yeah, if I could only make the magic happen again, you know.
Our traffic kills. Our traffic kills.
Mine wasn't that exciting at all. I remember when I had a computer store from 89 to 99, as you guys remember. And back when we tried to do some e-commerce, back when it was modems, so it was like a 9600 baud US robotics, and orders couldn't come through, and all kinds of bad. So, that is though why I left the retail industry, was to follow Jeff Bezos into that at point 2. Remember that, Jeff? When we first got our first orders coming in at point 2, that was pretty exciting.
It was the same sort of feeling. We went to 2 places. We had that feeling first when we rigged up the self-registration and people could sign up for free and start collecting or start building their own website. And then when we built the ability for them to actually pay us, we had the same feeling. We just glued to the dashboard every day. Look how many have paid now.
Jackie, what's yours? What was your first sell?
Okay, this is first, not best, right? So I think, not to age me, but I'm going to say my first e-commerce sale, taking a different route. It was in what's called Kijiji up in Canada. But that is where I would take my brother's toys and things that I found lying around the house, and you'd post pictures of them with the price, and people would message you, and then you'd negotiate. So I was a little bit of a hustler growing up, and I would sell things. But I think, true end-to-end product-led growth e-commerce, no, because I had to be there to do the transaction. I guess now they take payments on Kijiji, but just the thrill of seeing the messages light up and the negotiation and coming in high and then going back. It was, I consider that e-commerce, and there's something about the circular economy that's really cool there. So
it's funny. I listen to
thrill of the theft.
Yeah, I listen to these stories, Devon, and they're pretty funny. So back when I was at a place called the Talking Phone Book, and I was, at the time, I was their vice president of internet services. And so we invented this product, and it was just called an IYP card. So this goes back, way back. But what happened is we would set these cards up, and we allowed the small business or the SMB to put one product on the card. That's all we could handle. So they'd put one product on the card, and we'd charge them $3 a month to have that one product on the card. Well, that led to 26,000 of those cards being sold with one product. And obviously, eventually, and you couldn't even sell it. When you click the product, all it would do is email the business saying that you were interested. So that was probably very junior e-commerce for sure. That was probably 1996, 95.
Right on. Keep going around the horn.
For me, it was about a decade later. I was living in Los Angeles at the time, working for a movie studio. And as physical goods started to move in the e-commerce channel, they really protected digital content because of piracy, and everyone saw what was happening with the music business. So they didn't want that to replicate into the movie business, which at the time was worth, just in the US alone, about $25 billion a year in industry income.
I'm
And
sorry,
then-
Willem. I think I missed the start of that. What kind of, was it a light? Or what was the...
Oh, Disney. He's at Disney.
Yeah,
Oh,
it was
Disney.
a Disney. Yeah.
My camera cut out. Okay,
Yeah,
sorry.
I didn't know if I could, call the brand names here. But
Oh.
in any case, free advertising, free media value. But what happened was there was a big concern about putting digital content online because of piracy and, diminishing returns on industry value and all of that. And we eventually decided to go with it, and iTunes became really big. Now, the iPhone came out, maybe the iPhone 4 at that time.
I remember when
And-
those were out.
Yeah, the iPhone was just there. It started to become really cool
still
to have
thing?
the phone. It became more affordable. And so we decided to go with some movies on the iTunes channel. And we had our first download, and people started to buy movies on iTunes and not watch it with their DVD players in their living rooms, but on their phones. And it became a big deal. And that to me was really the digital side.
And you'd think they could figure out Disney Plus by now, but it's still a disaster. Anyway,
And now
next...
everybody on the planet has binge watched every single show already.
Yeah, we've run out.
And
We've
now
run
it's
out.
just a big buffet.
It's done.
Brian,
That's
you're next
buffet
in
time.
my loop here.
Hey, beauty. I don't know if this is the first, but the first that I was excited about was I did a little stint at a local camera shop around 2004, 2005, I think it would have been. And we actually had a full website up and running where people could come in, bring in their camera gear, use camera gear, and then we would actually take photos of it, put it up on our site and sell it online for them. And then we'd take a percentage of that cut and then push the money back to the person. And so it was just part of daily routine. You'd get to work in the morning, you check what online sales were coming in. It was MPS. I just saw the question come in, motion picture and sound. Yep. And so we'd get into the routine of checking for sales. If there was a sale, we'd box it up with all the padding and everything like that, remit payment and push it through. And it was actually pretty cool. It was, I don't know if it was ahead of its time. I'd like to think that it was kind of, cutting edge e-commerce before everything kind of took off. But, there was quite a bit of players in the game probably by 2005, but it felt like pretty cutting edge to me.
Camera gear listings. Gene, how about you? What's been your biggest sale online?
Biggest sale online? I was like Jackie. I think my first online sales were when I was selling my artwork on eBay, and I posted on eBay, and I could sell to the States and all over the world through that. But another thing I don't think I had ever told you guys before, using an online portal for sales, is back in 1996, I stayed up late listening to these infomercials about putting they said use mini classified ads places. So I had a dating line that you could call into. So you'd log in and to your email, and they sent you like how many people called into your dating line. You didn't have to man the line or anything. You just had to market the.
Was it a 1-800 number?
I did that too. Mine was psychics.
No, you didn't.
Honest to God.
Yeah, there was.
You could use that same web address, Trev. Oh man, I've been a long time buyer, but as a few weeks ago, I was a first time seller. I fell on the Kijiji train like Jackie did. I sold a pair of lawn chairs in the backyard, and then that sold right away. So then I sold another chair, and then that sold right away. So I sold a table, and then I sold my boat, and then I sold my truck, and I can't stop now. I've sold like $10,000 worth of stuff on Kijiji in 3 weeks. It's been insane. But
when do you? When do you have to move out? When do you have to move out?
Well, it's like I just have a bunch of stuff I don't need, and so I just decided, like, well, why not? I'll try it out, and then it was easy, so why not? I guess.
I do think there's a message here for small businesses, and especially in what's happened with COVID. Kijiji is a more fluid way to buy and sell goods right now than what a lot of small businesses have set up. And I've witnessed, because I've been looking and shopping for bikes. There are bikes that are being sold at higher than retail rates used bikes than more than what you could purchase them in stores right now, because the transaction is made easy, because buyers can buy things, they can see things, they can get and I think it's fascinating right now. So if I were a local business, I mean, the very first thing I'd do is set up e-commerce so that customers could buy things. And if you can't figure it out, get on Kijiji, because people are selling things for used for more than what they would pay brand new in your store.
Well, hey, we just mentioned a lot of places. We mentioned steaks, resume templates, computers, camera gear, iTunes, Brothers Toys, everything. I'm curious to go around the horn again. What are the characteristics of small businesses and the types of small businesses that you guys think transition really well to e-commerce? And which ones seem to struggle most right now? Like, what are their most common obstacles that are going on? So restaurants are always the one that pops into people's heads first, but going beyond restaurants, and actually none of you mentioned restaurants except for Gib and the steaks, but all types of businesses, what works really well online right now? What's struggling? What could need some help? Let's go in reverse order. Start with Dale here.
Well, I guess it's like in terms of the COVID, I guess it comes down to it's things people want to buy that they need, right? I think people are looking for, probably if you sell stuff like, I don't know, things that people need in their day-to-day lives. I know the other day I had a hard time because, Amazon wasn't able to stock a ton of the stuff you often buy from there. And it's like, I don't know, something as simple as like coffee filters. I happen to be a Chemex guy, and you can't buy those at a grocery store. And so we looked at a ton of places to try to find Chemex filters of all things, right? So it tends to be, I think, any business that sells stuff that people want day to day, or I mean, heck, the weather just changed. People selling bikes. It's like, you should see the Bike Doctor. That place is lined up like crazy.
Yeah. Gene, I think you were right before that.
I know Dale would disagree with this, but I love what e-commerce has done with grocery stores. I've been shopping online for groceries for over a year already. I can be at the lake ordering my groceries, or I've even ordered them in an airplane before, and then I just have to land and go pick them up. So I think
Did you buy groceries from Sky Mall, Gene?
A lot of alcohol and perfume in her groceries.
Gene's the one with her mobile data on in the air.
Yeah. Turn on my mobile data and order. I think it's great.
What's just been a pain in the ass to get online? What have you not been able to get at all?
Well, if you're saying pain in the, it's probably toilet paper. No, it's not toilet paper. I'm kidding. I would say from my perspective, the thing that's helped me through the last few months is being able to do telemedicine. Obviously you guys all know I had some surgery, but it's been great to not have to travel to go see these doctors and wait. And so they've created secure two-way video, and they actually do things like put your eye against the camera and they look into your eye. They do stupid stuff like that. So it's bizarre how far telemedicine's really has come over this COVID period. And
the webcams can't be that good though. Like, these are pretty pixely.
Should we all put our eyes?
Everybody,
right
at the count of 3, put your eyes to the camera.
Well, I got a cheap Mac here, so.
You're pretty good.
You guys are nuts.
I can't keep track of the order.
There's things inside my computer that I can't unsee now. Whose idea was this? I didn't know there was stuff in there.
Yeah, that's probably not good. But I'll tell you, telemedicine has been one heck of a thing that has affected a lot of folks. So love e-commerce and that is e-commerce. You got to think of it that way. They take payment while they got you on the phone. They pop up a little screen, enter your credit card for your copay. It's insane what they'll do over the secure connection.
I don't know why you can do gift cards online. That's something that's been really hard. I tried to order one from Aritzia. I couldn't get a gift card, so they mailed it, which is hard to
find. How is medicine moving faster than the gift card people? I don't know.
But Devon, there's a lot of your question is a good one. From my perspective, there's a lot of business categories where interacting with them is fairly straightforward. Like, you can book an appointment, you can do that online, or you can schedule an appointment. in one way or another with them. Or you can restaurants, you can, they've got the transactions down pretty well. It's pretty easy to order a pizza online, and they've got the delivery systems are pretty well figured out. But the businesses that are sort of struggling for the most part are ones that have large amounts of inventory.
Yeah.
Because it's challenging to get that inventory online. But I would say this: I'd say that like the technology is there now where they can do it, obviously we're bringing one of those solutions to bear to the market right now. But it's an important point. What a lot of them that have large inventories, they've sat back and said, this is going to be just too difficult to do, and throw their arms up in the air. But when you dig into it now, there's pretty intuitive systems available.
Inventory is a tough one. I just saw an SEO thing where everybody screws up the SEO of their pages of products that are out of order, like that you can't get anymore. And it's just become a technical nightmare on top of the logistical nightmare that goes along with inventory. Yeah.
But
I think I cut someone off.
If you search for an individual product, by the way, what you'll get right now, for the most part, is inventory from large chains. But people want to shop locally, and as more local businesses understand and get the technology in their hands to publish their inventories online, they're going to transact a lot of business.
Well, Jeff, to talk about the inventory and classifieds that we were talking about before, I agree. The only two real choices that you have right now are national brands that have gone through a sophisticated inventory management system, or a classified system that a single person is using their phone to take a high quality picture, and then they're putting the detailed description in there so that it's search optimized and it can be found. So it's why the bikes are showing up, or I've been looking for new golf clubs, or actually used golf clubs for my son, and looking for Ping G3 irons, right? And the only places that I could find it are either the secondhand shops, because they've used a mobile phone to do it, or the national brands that have actually done that. Even the manufacturers aren't doing a great job of getting that inventory online. But I think we're going to start to see all that shift because of the high quality phones and the mobile operators that we have, especially the newer generations of SMB business owners are super comfortable running their whole life through a phone or through a tablet, and they're getting really comfortable with the idea of snap a picture that is high quality because they're from the Instagram world, right? They're used to taking better quality images. They know how to get the light right. They've got the background for it, and they're getting them up really quick. So I think we're going to see more and more of that from the SMB landscape.
Right on. Does anyone know any SMB that is just resisting the move to online because they're worried about losing the personal touch, or the fact that it's just a different type of interaction with the customer?
Yeah, I would say the local gun shop. They've resisted going online because the lines are so long outside the doors that I don't think they have to worry about it. But generally, you can't sell that online.
That is, what you've touched on a really good point, and that is the people that have busy and established clienteles. Like I was saying to my my hair guy, he just wouldn't do it. And in fact, now I'm going to his son.
That's why Brendan's hair is so long these days.
Well, that's another reason.
Can't pay anyone for a haircut.
I want to book my stuff online. I want to phone somebody and look at my schedule and see if something matches. I don't want any of that. Like I just want to click and do it. But he's like so busy that he's like, well, whatever. So now I'm going to his son put it online because he charges more. So, but
yeah, there's an important message in there. I would add to where I think the service industry, like it's not even necessarily that you're looking for goods. It's just make my bookings easy. Let me book a service easy. But I think you're right, Brandon. A lot of these companies, like they're fully booked and they don't see the purpose why, but they don't understand that there's an experience play, that people actually just want it because it's easier. They don't want to call somewhere.
Yeah, that's right. You want to make it easier on your customers. And back to Gibb and Jeff's point, like, and this is Gibb's line, but I like it a lot. He says, it's easy to find out that somebody's selling Nike, but it's hard to find out they got this Nike size 9.5 in my model that's, within a block or a mile. And I would buy a lot more stuff local if I knew it was there. But the minute that I try to buy something and it's not in inventory, the thing you were talking about, Devon, I'm never going to go there again. It's useless. And so we have to find a way to make it so that businesses connect their inventory system, because almost everybody today has a good inventory system. And so that's the key, is to get that thing connected and to get it online. And that's what our partners can do. It's easy. Once that's done, if the business knew that they could make that happen in an easy way like that, I'm sure they would do it. It's like they'd have no one to help them.
True. And inventory is not just products and a bunch of whatever they're selling, tennis rackets. I mean, inventory is their time. If they're a service-based business, it's doing home inspections or window installations. So that inventory is really their calendar, their day of filling up that 8 to 10 hours a day that you can put online, and you can e-commerceify yourself as a service-based business, right? With that kind of inventory.
George bought me this the day before COVID.
Squash racket.
Yeah, he bought me a squash racket the day before COVID.
You can go play with my new PM. It just
once anything opens up.
Yep, there you go.
Our whole atrium is empty right now. I just picture you guys playing squash.
There's an idea.
Yeah, Crystal wants a challenger if you're in, Brendan.
That's right.
I've played squash in 25 years. I'll give it a shot, though. I'll give anything a shot.
Yeah. Part of my question, though, for the last piece was the personal touch, the in-store experience, especially for more premium type products and services that might get lost on the digital side. So I don't know if any of you have experience with that, or you're not.
It's actually it's almost counter. It's almost counter. Like one of the local ones here is a Taekwondo school that my daughter's gone to become a black belt, and she helps the younger ones move along up the thing. But as soon as this thing hit and they started doing online classes, their attendance at the classes was more. There were more of them on the screen. There were more of them interacted. They were paying attention to the class even more, and there really was not a personal touch lost. These kids adapted like that. And even the older adults that are, getting into the martial arts, they adopted fast. So this personal touch, what happened was the frequency increased. Instead of driving to go to the dojo, seeing it for 2 hours and then disappearing for 4 days, it turned out to be nightly for an hour, every single night. So frequency, there's more of they're closer than they ever have been. That's just one, and this yoga instructor too,
Just to touch on that too, I was thinking a lot about that lately, like what purchases happen online. And I think going into COVID, I just thought, it's always low involvement purchases. It's things that are, below $500. Like nobody's ever going to buy thousands of dollars online and have them shipped. But we've seen this. We've seen people purchase Teslas, and we've seen people, purchase even $6,000 bikes at the bike doctor and have curbside pickup because they can. And I think, for small businesses right now, a lot of them have a trusted brand, and they've built trust in the services and the goods that they provide, and they don't have to prove that. So whether it's delivered through a digital experience is beside the point. And I think nothing is more heartbreaking on the other side than going to a business that you love and that you trust and that you would spend a lot of money at. And there's just nothing. There's no information. You go to Devon, our team did a little exercise where, the leadership had a little bit of money to spend, and we had to go support local businesses. And the common theme was that there was just no information. Like we keep talking about e-commerce, and yeah, e-commerce is important, but even before that step, there was no sign on the door. There was nothing updated on their Facebook page. There was no Google of Hours operation, updated. There was no website updated. Like there's so many things before the purchase that they're just leaving their customers out to dry. And it's almost like if you only knew how many customers were trying to shop at your store, maybe you
Well,
do.
I think Jackie, it's like we get into software and a lot of our time is spent on user testing because we're building novel experiences. But I would actually say that local business very rarely thinks about, hey, I need to user test my business because like nothing's changed. People walk in the store and they buy stuff. You don't need to user test something. But like on the example of Bike Doctor, we bought a bike for my daughter. It's like one of those little ride-on things that attaches to the bike. And so you go ahead, you buy it online, and then you show up at the store and they say, oh, you know what? We'd actually like to take it all out of the box, set it all up, make sure it's got all the parts and everything else like this. And you're like, I ordered this 2 days ago. Why are you doing this now that I showed up to the store? And it's like, this is why I want the local touch. I want the guys to actually verify that this is installed correctly. But somebody didn't bother to think through we verify the whole install and make sure it's correct. But like in an online world, you should start that the minute I buy it, not the minute I come into the store. And so that user testing the whole experience is kind of important because like I'm buying local for a good reason, but then that kind of messes it up. And so now my Thursday bike ride is ruined.
I love this whole topic, but I wonder if the people that are worried about losing the personal touch from e-commerce are really thinking about the right definition of e-commerce, right? Like it's still commerce, it's shopping, and the internet is involved in our shopping experience today. So one of the things Bryan had touched upon is if you're it's about scheduling time for people now. Right? Like if you have a high end or a high touch or the shopping experience is really critical to you, it's dangerous for people to come to your store and wait in line and be around other people today. Scheduling time and creating time blocks for them and giving people the ability to book time with you is a critical component of internet shopping and online service and the local economy. So I think that people are taking the term e-commerce and thinking that it only means selling a product via the internet, where it's actually the shopping experience has to be different today because of health concerns and time constraints, and that we can lean into making that internet shopping experience really special for people.
Just to add to what Gibb said, one of the businesses locally that I thought was really fascinating is they've done and maybe this is just common around the world, but they've cut up their store into 15-minute increments, and they create you get the whole store for 15 minutes, and they've booked these blocks. And so the experience is actually the same. It's just in a safe way. But in order to book this, you need to actually book it and to create that experience, like you said. So they haven't actually, and they sell physical goods. They sell baby clothes and, toddler wear and whatnot. So they haven't actually taken all their inventory online and brought it to their customers. They've brought their customers back to the store in a safe way. I thought that was really neat.
Is that in the Ozarks?
Yeah. You know what, Jackie,
she froze on the deadest of glares. She froze on the deadest of glares. I like that.
Jackie, the pool supply place did the same thing down here. Like if you wanted to go get salt for your pool or filters or whatever the heck. But what they did is they would just line you up outside, and then they would let 5 people in the store at the time to go get your stuff. You just waited in line.
That's what's happening here everywhere. Like if I want to go to the hardware store, I got to go stand outside, and they let in some people, and then the other people come out, and they just only let like 200 people in the store if it's like Home Depot.
Brendan, do you have an hour and a half to just wait in line though? Because I know I sure don't. I think the cool thing was that you could schedule it. You could pop in. And you could.
Oh no, I'm not complaining.
I'm right there with you.
I've never waited in line. I don't like lines. Right?
I don't either. I started sending my daughter to do that kind of stuff, but now that everything's open, I don't feel so bad.
All I could think of was being the only person in that store for 15 minutes. The pressure that must be on you to buy. You're probably expected to walk out with $800 worth of baby gear.
Jeff doesn't even have a baby.
Trust me, I was in the line at the Co-op hardware store because I did stand, but it wasn't long. It was like maybe 15 minutes, no, 10 minutes. And as people were walking out, I had a bunch of older folks in front of me, and they are critical. When anyone walked out without stuff, they were like, "Whoa, like what were they doing in there?"
Co-op grocery stores, Kijiji. We are educating the world on Saskatchewan.
I don't even know what those things are, but that's okay.
Building on what Gibb said.
Yeah.
something that's winning right now in this COVID world is omnichannel. And omnichannel was such a big theme before COVID, and it just became that blanket strategy for so many large brands. And today, if you look at who's doing well, Target, Walmart, Tesla, even Nike, they all have this blended play of in-store, online buying. They're geared with their social media strategy. So when you make that relevant to a small business, it's just how can we help those small businesses to have a comprehensive end-to-end strategy to compete against these large multinationals that are so well positioned for what we're going through right now. And, you know, the way that they're making their products available on mobile and all these different platforms. And I think that point of us providing that end-to-end solution for small businesses could be really powerful and help them to compete at a local level against these multinational brands.
That's exactly it, Willem. Like, how do we do this? And I liked where Jackie was going with tactics there of this one particular baby store is carving out 15 minutes. I want to hear other tactics that you guys think are working right now. We talked kind of about brand user testing, booking specific times. Like, what else? Your hot takes, just in a couple sentences.
Go to where your customers are, I think. So, like, there's another store in Saskatoon, a shoe store that is on Instagram all the time, and they're posting pictures of their inventory. So they'll post 3 shoes in size 7, 7.5, 8, and you see people responding right away saying, "I'll take these sizes." So I think you just have to know which platforms your customers are on and be there.
Yeah, I was going to kind of mention the same type of thing, Gene. I think that sometimes e-commerce is too often seen as that I sell something on my website, rather than the idea that I'm actively looking to generate revenue online, and they have to adopt that mindset of going where the customers are. It is as much embedded in your social marketing strategy as it is in your website strategy and a full syndication strategy, and the list goes on. So 100% agree with that. That's the strongest businesses right now.
Here's the other thing. I just want to add one quick thing is that I believe that a lot of small businesses feel like going e-commerce means they're competing against Amazon. Nothing could be further from the truth. They still have the opportunity to provide their expertise. The reason you see those shoe stores posting things on Instagram, there's still a human connection and interaction where the local person is helping and giving their expertise to help those people do those things. Same thing with the baby store. I know why people go to those places, because there's people there that care. They know they've already pre-selected the inventory. If you go into Kmart or Walmart or something, you're going to get some kind of carriage, who knows what. But if you go to those places, they've kind of figured out what's good for you. They know what kind of shoes are going to help you, or what kind of
They figured out how to sell you a $2,500 carriage.
Well, no, but I'm curious that small businesses
Yeah.
have that advantage. It's an experiential advantage, and you can still have that online. It's not like you're swapping it out. And they fear many times that people. I had this happen to me when I had my retail store, that people would come to our place to learn about it and then go to buy it at Future Shop. Go to buy it where it's cheaper for a few bucks cheaper. But then, if they can't make that thing work, then they come back and they've got the problem. What I found is people more and more are becoming loyal to local businesses, and the way to do that is to have a local business that cares and provides good information and experience.
100%. Back to the social play, though. I do think there's a possibility that we could somehow leverage our social marketing tool to one-click import, pull in your inventory or an item from your inventory and push it down your online channels in a way. So I'd be really curious to see us try and differentiate on social e-commerce.
Yeah, I just said Kmart and Future Shop, and everyone's making fun of me here. Those are stores that you took me back into a place in my life where I had
I couldn't stop that
store, and I was still having babies. And so that's, my youngest.
What do you mean? I shop on Wolco's online store all the time.
Too funny.
Anyways,
keep them coming. I like the tactics. What else is working out there?
What's really working that I see a ton of is that you actually can order online and go pick it up at all these places, and they have roped off areas. The cars line up, they come in, you give them your name, you hand them your credit card. It's not just for food. When COVID first hit, that was all over the place. You could go anywhere and order online and go pick stuff up. So order on and pick up off has been a big thing. Restaurants are still, or we're doing it now. Everything's open here, but that was also a big thing for restaurants.
I think data is going to become so important because what consumers would want to know is, do you have inventory? Do you have time? Is it available? And the only way they can find out is by calling you or looking online. And just that ongoing aggregation of data and pushing it out to where the consumers are will become important. But connecting the consumer to the data of the business will become a turnkey solution.
Says the VP of Data Ops. No, we're in agreement.
Keeping ourselves in business here.
Oh, great.
Keep them coming. I got a couple more tactics.
Well, there's companies that do business every day that we're doing it an old school way, but they're incrementing towards some tactics to go e-commerce and take care of their customers. For instance, title companies, when you sell a piece of property or a house, it used to be even more recently, you'd get a big giant pile of, you'd have to go there and sign stuff and do that. They're just grabbing DocuSign or one of those kind of things, and they're plugging it into their system and their process. And it is e-commerceifying them a bit, right? They're doing commerce and they're doing it, e-style, and they're just grabbing a piece of text someplace and folding it into their process. And it is incrementing them towards more of an e-commerce play. It's not like, e-commerce is you're all on and you're all off. You can increment there with these little tasty tidbits and pieces of tech and get going.
I just had a random question pop into my mind because Willem was talking about data, which is his role. Gene, what about the people ops side of this thing? How is e-commerce affecting HR, hiring in the local business space? What's your hot take on that?
A lot of people have been laid off and a lot of people have lost their jobs right now. But I think that you can employ, there's other businesses who did get online and have been able to employ their staff, but they just changed what those people were doing. So instead of serving tables, they were packing up food for the people that were coming in, or they're being delivery drivers and they're able to drive around the products that people have ordered or pack them up. So I think
100%.
It's changed maybe. A lot of
well, in terms of that, Devon, it's like last week we were talking about the consumer being forced essentially to try something different. And I mean, whether they'll stick with it is one question, but it's the same thing with employees, is that business have been forced to try something different with how they work with their employees. And the question is, like, how are they going to deal with it? Will some of it stick or not?
Right.
It almost takes you back, Devon, to the first question you said, is what characteristics are making people shift? And desperation is one of them. The fastest shifters were not category based. They were desperation based, and they scrapped it because SMBs are scrappy. They're human beings that need to pay a mortgage and pay rent and take their kids to soccer camp and all that kind of stuff. So the desperation one is what shifted the fastest, and they grabbed any tools. The other thing I think that helped them shift fast is the biggest influencer between an SMB and SMBs to go e-commerce is other SMBs. They watch their neighbor or their friend or their co-op or whatever do something, and they go and copy it and copy it and copy it. And they usually help each other out, even if they're in the same category locally in a market. So it's been really interesting to see the desperate ones go, but you've also seen those other ones that have sat at their kitchen table in shock still.
Desperation's right. I mean, that resonates. The last thing my dad wants to do is lay off his employees. He is trying to figure out what else they can do and work with the whole e-commerce thing right now. So great.
The last piece of a tip that I would say is modernize the way you can take transactions. That, there's a lot of small businesses that still rely on cash or invoicing. And you've got to find a way to get into merchant services, right? You've got to find a way to take mobile payments, whether that is, a mobile wallet like an Apple and a click to pay where people don't have to pull their credit cards out or touch a device, or they have to handle cash. I think you really have to put yourself in a position where you can transact without somebody having to touch and have actual things. That empowers your curbside service. That empowers your remote works and learning. So I think that's another area to go to.
Yeah, nothing more disappointing than when you go ahead, place your order online, show up at a place to do a pickup, and then they walk up to your window and want you to like type in on this unprotected debit machine where you're like, we went through all this effort so that I could touch the communal debit pad. Awesome. I'm so excited you guys did this.
Right. And you could use the Apple Pay, right? Or you could use whichever one and just tap and be done with it. But it takes a little bit of modernizing your software stack as a SMB and invest in that.
Yeah,
It's
sorry
pretty
we don't
trippy
take
that-
tap is pretty negative now.
It's pretty
You have
trippy,
to be done with it.
the trust that's been happening. Like you order from Chipotle right now and you go online and do it, right? And then you show up and you've already paid and you just walk in and go to this rack and you see your name there and you take it off. Nobody's watching. And you just walk in with your
Uber.
bag
Get in.
and you're like,
Now I know where to go when I'm hungry.
you're like, whoa, like
Yeah.
they've this trust factor between taking payments and delivering goods is it really blown up, right?
Still, payments.
amazing.
Unprotected debit is going to go viral now. That's going to be the next trending.
Yeah, well, touchless payments are super hot.
Yeah.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
I think Uber's a business, I think, that is going to have a hard time coming back with all this work remotely. And so they need to rethink their e-commerce strategy. And I think delivery of food, restaurants, product, I mean, they might start competing with the U.S. Post Service next.
Absolutely.
Jackie, then we're going to wrap it up.
Okay, I was just going to say, all of these tools are really ephemeral, and people are going to be making and creating habits right now that are going to shape sort of the next 10 years of commerce. And I think one of the most simplest, easiest, free ways a business can just kind of wrap their head around this is just walk through their customers' shoes. But don't do it themselves because they have all these biases about how to operate and how to navigate their business. Grab someone that's unfamiliar with your business and have them try to make a purchase. Have them go through the experience and watch how they do it. Because we as consumers, to Bryan's point earlier, I think everything is a service-based business now. Whether you sell a physical good or not, everything is actually about service and experience now. And that's how you're going to compete, I guess, in the years to come.
Walk through the journey. Okay, well, let's wrap this up. I actually want to try something different. Brendan, apparently you're doing a law of the day right now. And the law of the day was Amara's law, which actually kind of relates to this. Tell us what it is, why it matters, and then we'll sign off here.
Roy Amara. So he said that technology is often overestimated in the short term and drastically underestimated long term. And if you go back to my life, the reason I got into software in 1999 was because I saw what Amazon was doing, and everybody at the time, and I remember it said, holy cow, everything's changed, everything's going to go online. And then for the next 20 years, I watched the e-commerce penetration rate go to 10% over 20 years. And then in COVID, in the last 8 weeks, it's gone to 23% penetration. So drastically overestimated at the start, drastically underestimated long-term. Roy Amara, that's Roy's law, Amara's law.
By the way, okay. I don't know how many laws there are or when you're going to run out, but we'll.
Oh, I got lots.
All right, everyone. I hope that was pretty good. I know you're all busy folks. Got to get to the weekend, but appreciate it. We'll cut this up and look forward to the next one.
Time for the beach. See y'all.
Time for the beach.
Thanks, guys.
Adios.
All right.